For me, I think grades are very static in the sense that they're arbitrary, right? Your professor or your teacher is giving you a grade. Okay, your grade is 98 in this course, but in reality, maybe you should have gone perfect. Your grade is a 70 in this course, but in reality, maybe you should have been at a 90. So don't worry about your grades, right? Grades are important if you want to do your master's, sure, right? That's a part of the process. But one of the things you also have to look at is what other things can I do in my life that will add more value to my current situation. So I always tell students and entrepreneurs, always look for that quest. Right? What is that quest that I want to achieve in my life? If I want to be a successful entrepreneur, if I want to be a successful corporate individual, what are those steps I have to take piece by piece in order to get there, right? And try to achieve that quest to the best of your ability.
Prince, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Haniyah. Nice to be here.
So, Prince, your career in both education and business is quite admirable, as you're a college and university lecturer that sometimes has programs for youth. You're a co-working space supervisor, as well as a certified international trade professional. Not to mention, you have a master's in economic development and innovation, as well as an honors bachelor in business administration. So, my first question to you is, what inspired you to pursue a career in business and teaching? And was there a specific moment or influence that led you down this path?
Yeah, that's a great question, Hanya. Thank you for asking. Getting into teaching was never something I thought about when I was younger. I was never really, in the a gifted program. I was never really an academic. Like most of my grades in high school were C's and D's, to be honest, a couple of B's. Didn't get into university. I got into college. So it wasn't really something I thought about when I was younger. And I never thought I'd be capable of getting to that stage where I'd actually be able to teach. Where it really happened for me, where I became more knowledgeable about this is the path I want to pursue, is that I started working at the Brampton Entrepreneur Center, and I really loved the fact I could run seminars and webinars, and I really loved the whole environment of just educating entrepreneurs on how to start their own business. Then I went back to my university as an alumni, and I used to train a lot of the students on how to practice for pitch competitions like DECA, ACE, etc. And I really enjoyed that. And one day, luckily, I got an opportunity through one of the program heads at the University of Guelph-Humber that said, "Hey, whenever you do your master's, let me know. We'd love to have you teach our students." And at the time, I wasn't really thinking about it because, again, I was never an academic. Getting through undergrad was hard enough for me. But then I decided, you know what? 2021 was the year I was going to explode. And I took on the opportunity to do my master's, and I posted on LinkedIn, and who messaged me? The same program head. And he had said that one of the professors had retired and we'd love to have you teach this class. I had no experience, but I was like, yes, definitely, because opportunities like these are very slim in nature. You never really get those opportunities. So I took it on, love it. Usually get almost perfect marks for my teaching every semester, and I've been enjoying it ever since I started.
That's amazing, like how you push through, even though you were already struggling. So based on that, based on how you talked about how like getting good grades and getting into the undergrad itself was hard, what were like some key challenges that came with that? Like what motivated you to keep going and push through and be like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be amazing at it. Like you said, 2021 will be your year.
You know what? What kept me motivated was the fact that I knew that I wanted to become something different in my life. I didn't want to be the status quo that everybody else is going toward that specific path. Like I said, I wasn't an academic, nor did I have the same academic capabilities a lot of my peers, even in university. But I knew I could get better. And one thing that always motivated me was the fact that failure leads to success. So I go by this mantra: dream, do, succeed, fail, learn. Dream, do, achieve, fail, learn, succeed. And the reason why I go by that mantra is because I want myself to understand that I can dream lots of things. If I do it and I don't achieve what I want to achieve, and if I fail, then at least I can pick myself right back up and then try to learn from that experience and then succeed. So for me, failure is just, I don't really see it as failure. I see it as a challenge. If something didn't reach a certain level that you were hoping to achieve, it's a challenge. It's maybe not something you're good at this point, but doesn't mean you're not going to get better. So I constantly kept pushing myself. And eventually I got to where I need to be today. And I've built a really strong personal brand. And that only came because I just never gave up. And the people around me see the same thing. They see somebody who's grown from this little seed to this ripe fruit. And it didn't happen easily. It's a very, very difficult challenge. And eventually, all roads lead to something good as long as you keep putting your mind and heart into it.
Yeah. So you talked about a lot how it was all about like how you thought about it. Like it was a lot about your growth mindset. But was there ever like a person or like a mentor that helped you throughout your journey and like almost like I get it's you that made it here, but it's like was there someone that like pushed you to make it here?
That's a great question. And I've had many mentors, and nobody really specific that I can say I've reached out to this person. Started with my family, started with my brother, the way he was, his personality. It made me become who I am today, which is a very humble individual that really cares about the people around you. And I learned those skills from my brother. After him, in 2013, I joined a company called Shade Effects, and I was working there for a number of years. And the owner of that company really trained and mentored me from A to Z on how to run a successful entrepreneurial venture. He was making a lot of money, he was doing great work, and he was an engineer by trade. So I learned from his company, I learned from him as an individual. And even after I quit and left the company, we still had conversations afterwards where he'd be teaching me things like time is money, cost is a constant in business. So if you're looking to launch a new venture, either you're spending a lot of time or you have a lot of money and you can get it up and running right away. And he taught me all sorts of different like timbits in terms of entrepreneurship and small business. So he was somebody from a business standpoint that I feel added a lot of value in my life. And then he's the reason that I actually got into what I'm doing today is because he ran a successful entrepreneurial venture. I enjoyed that environment of working for a startup. So I never really wanted to work at a large corporate level ever since that time. Well, and the third and fourth, I guess, final mentors would really be my wife and my little one. My wife being the person who's always pushed me constantly to keep getting better. She started off as my girlfriend years ago. I'm dating myself at 14 years ago. She always knew that I had potential to get somewhere. And then most recently, with my master's, with the teaching and everything that I'm doing right now, my daughter, who's really been that influence that I want to show her what you're capable of, even though you may not have had all the right resources to get a head start. I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth, right? I was far from that, right? My family came from poverty. So getting to where I am today, what I can really tell you is it's been a mission. And the mentors, being my wife, my little one, my brother, and Steve, have played a huge role, and I still thank them to this day.
Well, so it's actually amazing how you had all these people, a lot of them being your own family members that mentored you, and now you are a mentor to many students that actually benefit from attending your programs and lectures. So just
Yeah.
jumping off of that question, what do you think is the most rewarding part of your career? Like teaching, business, helping others. What's the most rewarding part?
That's one of the best questions I've ever had, to be honest. And it's a very simple question, but a question that I really want to answer. The most rewarding thing about my life is giving back to the people around me. It's not about holding things in, but rather how can I help you achieve your success? Because at the end of the day, I've gotten to a point in my life where I know who I am, I know where I am, and I know where I need to be. Okay. But there's a lot of people out there that maybe suffer from mental health challenges. Maybe they don't come from a good family. Maybe their educational aspects aren't at the strongest. But I've been in these sort of situations as well, where I haven't had the best upbringing, right? I've had a decent upbringing, but it wasn't to that T. So I understand the mechanics of going through that process. So for me, it's all about what situation have you been under and what impact did that have on your life and how can I help you improve? And you can come from any angle. It doesn't have to be that, it's something that I haven't dealt with personally. I can probably still provide you advice, but giving back is one of the best things that I feel that I love doing. And it's the most rewarding thing in my personal life. And I love doing it because it makes me feel good when other people achieve something or succeed through my advice.
To be honest, that's the best answer you could have given. A lot of successful people, when they're actually successful, their main answer is giving back. It's
Yeah,
wanting to give back, and that is something that not everyone thinks about.
right.
It's amazing that you have that in mind. I want to give back. I want to give my inputs to others and help them grow.
Correct.
So, as many of our listeners are students, some who may be interested in entrepreneurship, how do you think teens can develop entrepreneurial skills while still in high school?
That's a great question. And I don't know if a lot of students know, but there's actually a program called Summer Company, which we run out of the city of Brampton. There's one down in Halton and across the GTA, actually. And summer companies are a program designed for entrepreneurs or students between the ages of 15 and 29 that want to run their own business over the summer. We give you a grant of up to $3,000 to run your own business. Plus, you get business mentorship, training, and coaching throughout the summer months. So you get a mentor like myself who actually walks you through the process on how to succeed in running your venture. As a student, it's overwhelming because you're like, who's going to believe me? But trust me, I've seen so many entrepreneurs that start young. Yeah, you do simple things, but you learn from the process. Like this past summer, I had a student that he was 14 years old, turning 15. I think when he started the summer company program, he had just turned 15. He had a cookie business, and he'd go to the farmer's market every weekend with his cookies, sold out. He learned from the process. He's like, okay, what can I do better? So we talked about his marketing gimmicks and we said, how can you make your marketing a little bit better? So we came up with strategies around how to do that, which I won't get into today because obviously it's more his proprietary stuff. But he attended all of our sessions. We had sessions on financials, how to do market research, how to grow your business, how to do sales. And a program like this is so valuable. And even if you don't want to or are not eligible for summer company or don't feel that you got into the program, the advisors are still there at these small business centers that can guide you and shape your future. Because going to your teachers is great, but going to someone who's been through a process is even better. So that's why I encourage all students to go through some of their small business centers in their local region to see how they can support you in terms of getting your business up and running.
So you really kind of just answered my next question, which are what are some practical steps that we can take today for students that are willing to begin their journey? And
Yeah,
you said small business organization, so I think we
that's the
answered
place
that
to
one.
be.
So let's
That's
go
good.
back to career-based questions. So if you could start your career over, would you change this? Would you choose the same path?
Honestly speaking, after I've gone to where I'm today, there's only two paths I would take. One is continuing to do what I'm doing today, which I absolutely love. The other path is, and I figured this out a couple months back, is I would be an ECE teacher. I mean, I know I teach at a university college level, but I'm really good with kids. And I feel like with young kids in kindergarten, the creativity levels are so high. And I see this with my daughter all the time. So if I was to ever pivot in my career, it'd probably be going back to being an ECE teacher and working with young kids who are, they're fresh sponges and they have so much creativity in their mind and they're building things out of nothing. And I guess that's why I succeed in my job and what I do today is because my job's all about creativity. How can my business stand out from someone else's business? Right. And that's why I teach entrepreneurs. How can you sell better than someone else? How can your financials be better than someone else's? How can you operationally set yourself up for success? So that creativity side, I feel adds a lot of value to the work that I do. And that if I could ever go back in time, if it was not this job, it would probably be a kindergarten teacher.
And I wouldn't say that's bad. I kindergarten teachers are so happy, in all
Yeah.
honesty. They literally enjoy just being there, being at work, playing with children, which I would love to do too.
And you don't realize it until you actually a father or a mother that, how do you actually deal with kids, right? And,
Yeah.
with my daughter, I've realized, over the years that I'm actually good at what I do. Like I'm a good dad. Like I know how to work with kids. And every time we're in family functions, the kids just are attracted to me because I'm just the fun one, right? And it's because I always like to be different. I never like to be that status quo of I'm a serious person, take me seriously, and that's it, right? In life, you have to be funny, you have to be creative. That's how you're going to stand out. That's how people are going to notice you, even as a student, right? Being serious is great, but there's limitations to that as well. You also have to have a personality as well.
Yeah. So just going off of that right now, what would be some advice that you would give to students who think maybe like students that are like school, education, 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 nothing else? What is
Yeah.
your advice to them to like open up, to take on these new opportunities and not be as serious as you say to be, to have a personality?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think grades are very static in the sense that, they're arbitrary, right? Your professor or your teacher is giving you a grade. Okay, your grade is 98 in this course, but in reality, maybe you should have gotten a perfect. Your grade is a 70 in this course, but in reality, maybe you should have been at a 90. So don't worry about your grades, right? Grades are important if you want to do your master's, sure, right? That's a part of the process. But one of the things you also have to look at is what other things can I do in my life that will add more value to my current situation? So I always tell students and entrepreneurs, always look for that quest, right? What is that quest that I want to achieve in my life? If I want to be a successful entrepreneur, if I want to be a successful corporate individual, what are those steps I have to take piece by piece in order to get there, right? And try to achieve that quest to the best of your ability. And if you don't have a quest that you're trying to fulfill and you're just kind of lost and not really knowing where you want to go, it's not a bad thing. However, you're not going to really end up getting to where you need to be as fast as you want to be in reality, right? Because you may want to pivot once you're in college or university and say, you know what, I didn't enjoy this, and I want to do this. And then you pivot again, then you try something else. Now you've wasted like 7, 8 years. At that point, your life is going to change. You may get married, you may have kids, house. There's other priorities that come in your life. So you have that gap between 18 and 25 where you really have to figure out your life. And it's a tough thing to do, right? And it's tough because no one's really going to guide you. But if you can figure it out, find that quest, right? Find what it is that you want to chase and chase it to the best of your ability. And by the time you're 25, you should know exactly where you need to be.
So just as you said, you should find that defining moment. So
Yeah.
what would you see as a significant turning point in your career? As you talked about, like you were working for one startup company where you realized you don't want to work in large business corporations. But beyond that, what was like the most significant turning point that like made you want to be that like made you look at the entire business world in a different perspective?
The defining point for me was when I got a job at the city of Brampton. And, I started the front desk and then became a youth entrepreneurship assistant, then business associate, then left for 4.5 years, and now I'm back. The defining moment for me to come back and be in the state that I am today is that I really, it's I really went through a process. And the process was that I had to really find myself. And when I started joining at the city of Brampton and I did what I did as a small business service representative, I really enjoyed it. Right? And I'm like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my career. So I kept moving up, right? When I reached a plateau and I was like, I can't go anywhere else, I left, right? I left for 4.5 years. And in those 4.5 years, I got my international trade designation. I got my master's in economic development. I became a professor. I started doing a lot more outreach and international, sorry, not international, but more outreach in terms of doing presentations for student groups, entrepreneurial groups. People had me out. And I realized actually just this past year or just last year that I have a gift and we all have a gift. But my gift is being able to talk to people, being able to inspire people. And my career now, when as a supervisor, is that I can give back and I'm able to utilize my gift to do what I do best.
So going on to education-wise questions, you completed your master's at the University of Waterloo, which is known for its innovation-driven environment, but then went on to studying at the University of Guelph-Humber. What did your experience at the two universities teach you, and how are they each or both experiences beneficial to where you are now?
Yeah, so I actually went to Guelph-Humber first. So I did my undergrad there. And for my undergrad, and one thing that students need to understand, especially at the high school level, is university is not there to teach you assignments. University is there to teach you time management, and university is there to teach you discipline. And yes, it's overwhelming. It's very difficult, but in reality, when you reach out and do real work in life, that's the type of stuff you're going to be doing. So I tell my students all the time, it's not what you're going to learn in my course, it's what skills you're going to pick up by doing my assignments, right? Um, so Guelph-Humber was more of a practical school when I went there. Taught me the practice of running a business, being a manager. I took management there. I went to Sheridan College as well before joining the University of Guelph-Humber. I took finance there, so I learned skills there as well. In my master's, one of the biggest skills I really picked up was that being able to read academic literature, decipher it, put together proper presentations, and really understand academia at a deeper level. And at an undergrad level, you don't see that. But when you go to a master's level, it's like a earth and sky difference in terms of the workload, but also the knowledge that you really gain from it as well. So in a master's level, you're reading academic literature, while in undergrad, you're reading a textbook, right? Two different things. Because with academic literature, now you're looking at arguments and facts and figures and trying to figure out what's working, what's not working, what's right, what's not right, what's one person arguing, what's the other person arguing. So those are some skills I did pick up. And those are things that I would recommend you look into as well as students. When you look into getting to an undergrad program, what are you looking to really get out of that? And same with the master's, what are you looking to get out of that? And if you're going for PhD, again, what is your end goal? What are you looking to gain from that? But this is from my experience and what I learned over the last few years.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's not about like how to do something specific, but it's about the skills that you learn from it.
Yeah,
And just that advice that you're giving, it will change the mindset of many students where it's when we go into these programs where they're literally shaping us in high school for these post-secondary opportunities, it's we should think about what we want to get out of it in the end. So that should
right.
be like the mindset.
100%.
So before we wrap up, do you have any final advice for students who are interested in business, trade, or innovation?
I think businesses in trade and innovation, all three of them actually are booming, and they're industries that at this current day and age is really shining right now and really in demand. I would say if you want to get into these spaces, really look to read and get educated beyond your textbook, beyond what's taught in class. Really look to make yourself the master of your own success, because if you master your own success, that personal brand that you have is going to be relayed onto others. So as a student, you have to craft that personal brand. And let's say, you're in an interview and there's 10 other people being interviewed. What is that personal brand that you're going to bring to the table that is going to differentiate you from all other nine applicants? Because that's who you're facing off against. And as students, most people don't understand that. They think that, hey, I'm going to get an interview, I'm going to get the job. It doesn't work like that. They narrow their search down, and then you have 5 or 10 other people that you're facing off against. As a student, work on your personal brand. Know what it is that you're going to differentiate yourself with. Learn the knowledge that you need to succeed in your line of business or innovation or technology or the trades, and then utilize that in terms of being able to talk about it with somebody who's interviewing you or somebody who's learning more about what your thoughts are about a particular topic. Be the educator, right? And when you become the educator, people respect you a lot more, and you'll get a better chance to succeed and even get more jobs.
Yeah, so great advice. I feel like, especially now that teenagers starting from the age of 14 to 15, we actually have the opportunity to get jobs. So that's some
Yeah,
good advice for less on a wide range, not just business, trade, and innovation, but like jobs on
in
any
general.
type of career. So this would also be a great time for you to mention any upcoming projects youth that our student community may be able to like participate in.
Yeah. So, in terms of entrepreneurship, you mean, or?
In terms of entrepreneurship, yeah, more
Yeah,
specific.
so look at your local small business centers. We have a lot of events happening in Brampton. So if you're in Brampton, we have our Brampton Ignite, which is a networking group that we started. We generally bring our students in for these sessions as well. I have a student that reached out to me that I did a mentorship session for years ago, and she reached out and said, "Hey, is this something I should be attending?" I said, "Absolutely. Any networking opportunity, take it, right? Go out there, learn and master your craft." So we have the Ignite, we have our fireside chat we're also running, we have our female founders night. So any entrepreneurs or youth entrepreneurs that are starting their own business, regardless of your age, you can come out to this event and talk about your challenges, talk about your struggles. So we're doing a lot of cool things out here in Brampton. Halton is doing its own thing. York region, Mississauga, Caledon, everyone is doing their own sort of piece to the add value to the ecosystem. But what I would recommend is stay connected to your small business centers. And the reason why I'm saying that is because they have all the knowledges, sorry, they have all the knowledge and advisors in their center, and they're a breadth of resources, and utilize them to the best of your ability. And that's where you start. Who knows where you're going to end, but that's where your starting point should be.
Okay. So thank you again, Prince, for sharing your journey with us today, taking time out of your, I'm assuming, busy day for this episode. I know our listeners are leaving with some valuable insights into business education and entrepreneurship. To our listeners, make sure to stay connected with Prince Khan and his work, especially if you're in Brampton area, because apparently you have a lot of opportunities there. I'm
Yes.
Haniyah, today's WOSS Weekly host, signing off.